Well, welcome to the Revolutionary Agenda, aka the RVA. I'm your host, Seduction Doll, co-host of Frontline Black News. Thank you for joining me. I know it's Tuesday, but I felt like doing a couple of videos while I have some time. So this is part 2 of 27. Um, if you remember, I was catching everybody up on the war on them boys and that Biden thing about the harm reduction centers and the kits that they provide, and I kind of gave you a little history about fentanyl too. Kind of did that. That was part 1. So read up on that. That was heavy. No, it's kind of lengthy, but quality points right there. I really Black families. This is just for your knowledge. You know what I mean? It's not for the numbers. It's not for the cloud. It's definitely for your knowledge. Um, I invited a couple of guests. Not sure if they're going to be able to join me, depending on their situations or whatnot, or what's going on with them. So, but I did invite some people. Not really, for the guests, but um, you know, commentary might be good for everybody. Anyway, so thank you for joining me, and hope you get something out of this program. I hope everybody had a good Valentine's Day. For those celebrating, just want to say, hey, hope you did do something with your mate. I want to shout out Kukizi on that fuck Biden too. Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. And after today's show, I definitely am going to continue to feel the same way. Um, we're going to talk a little bit today about, we'll give you an update really on what's going on with my favorite character, Daryl Brooks Jr. I thought I'd check in and see what was going on. Lots of things have went on since the last time we looked at it. So we'll check in on that, and we're going to watch a couple of interesting things. We're going to watch them together, and I'm going to throw in my commentary, mostly all reactionary uh, videos. Like, I'm trying to go through 2, 3 of them, and then I'm going to get into this other thing, reparations for LGBTQ, and why it's extremely infuriating. And if you're not infuriated, you should be. So we're going to go on to that. And we'll see how much time I got left, and maybe we can do something else. Um, so, just want to thank you for tapping in. I'm gonna go ahead and set up my program. The eyeball, I see you. Don't be weird. Say hi. Let's see. Go ahead and hit that disclaimer right there, and yeah, let's see. We're gonna check in on my favorite character, Daryl Brooks. Now, Daryl Brooks Jr. Whatever. Now, if you might remember around Christmas time, this brother, my opinion, accidentally drove through a parade. Tried to avoid some things that I guess maybe, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but he apparently ran into the parade and 6 people died. Some, 60 people were hurt or something like that. Different accounts. And if you've been watching the RVA, I've been kind of covering it because, I feel like we don't stand enough behind this brother. And I don't want to hear shit from anybody when they talk about, oh, well, fuck white people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to hear it because, you should stand behind him. If you really believe like that, it's an accident and everybody want to exploit this, blah, 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 blah. Then we should probably do the right thing and just like, I don't know, support him, write him a letter, keep your head up. Because one body count in um, Wisconsin is like life sentence. You're looking at 6, like 100 and something charges. Yeah, it's ugly. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and talk about my guy right there because I think I'm like the only person in the world that's like, yeah, he getting a real heavy bad shake, and with that because like anybody who's ever been in trouble multiple times, the law, they'll hold your shit against you forever and ever and ever. So yeah, we get into a little backstory about that, and then we'll see where it goes. But little backstory. Then I'm gonna highlight what's going on. I'm gonna show somebody else do some commentary on my boy. I just really appreciated it. So I was just like, we're gonna watch it together. So, fair use copyright is enacted, and it's gonna be used for the whole, pretty much as long as I feel like it today. So let's see. Go up here. I need my twin to make me a fucking what you call it, theme song, man. So when I'm cruising through videos, I can actually have a dialogue. There's so much. There's not so much, you know what I mean? So let me see. Alright, we're gonna do this one right here. We're gonna get that out the way. Alright. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Little eyeball, I see you. Thanks for tuning in. Don't be weird. Say what's up. Here we go. All right. Yeah. So this is the update or the recap. And we'll go with the update. Merely reactionary video from my end because I want you guys to see it, get a sense of understanding of what's really going on. Commercials.
And good afternoon to you. I'm Liz Chow.
I'm David Navarro. We'll have more on those stories in a moment, but we begin with new details on the deadly tragedy at a Christmas parade in Wisconsin. Police have now identified the driver who slammed into the crowd as 39-year-old Darrell Brooks. Investigators say Brooks was involved in a domestic incident moments before his car ran over people in the crowd.
A horrific act left at least 5 people dead and more than 40 others injured. Among those hurt, 18 children, and 6 of whom are in critical condition. Eyewitness News reporter Sandra Bookman is here now with the very latest. Sandra.
Liz, the mayor of Waukesha said today that the Christmas parade has been a local tradition for 6 decades. But yes.
1 second, family. We were playing around. And yeah, hold on 1 second. Besides, you got to do this StreamYard like this.
Virginia Sorensen, 79-year-old female. Leanna Owens, 71-year-old female.
An emotional Waukesha, Wisconsin police chief today identifying the 5 people killed when an SUV barreled onto a parade route yesterday, turning squeals of joy into screams of horror.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
A portion of the chaos caught on camera, capturing the instant a Christmas parade turned deadly. In addition to the 5 people killed, 48 others were injured, including 18 children transported to Wisconsin Children's Hospital, 2 of them in critical condition.
Injuries ranged from facial abrasions to broken bones to serious head injuries.
Late this afternoon, authorities identified the driver of that red SUV as 39-year-old Darrell E. Brooks of Milwaukee. He's been charged with 5 counts of intentional first-degree homicide and may face additional charges. Meanwhile, the city of Waukesha shocked and grieving, but grateful to those who jumped into action to help save lives.
I'll say this, minutes after the incident occurred, I responded to the scene, and what I saw out of chaos and tragedy was heroes.
Now, classes were canceled today in the city, but counselors there were on hand to help students and staff try and deal with this. As for Brooks, he's expected to make his initial appearance in court tomorrow.
Right. Let's see. Yeah. That guy. Whew. Let's see. What do I do with it? 1 second. let's see. 1 second, family. 1 second. Kind of lost my. Accidentally closed up my window, which I have no idea how that went down. So that was the what pretty much happened. It was pretty ugly. Well, before we get into that, we're gonna go ahead and check this. Check out and see what happened. He hasn't. I guess what I'm gonna show you now is There's so much to show you. He's entering, getting ready to enter his plea, and lots of changes, lots and lots and lots of changes, really. He had a preliminary like last month, so. Okay, they gave him like a $1 million bail. Let's see. All right, here we go. So yeah, if you've been watching, keeping up on it, he's finally getting ready to enter a plea. I think he has actually. So we're gonna check that out real quick. And we're watching it together, so it's you find out, I find out kind of thing. This happened like 4 days ago.
Hello, Denver.
Straight ahead on Law and Crime Daily, opening statements in the so-called Daytona Beach serial killer trial.
Mr. Robert Hayes is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of killing not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Plus, 8 years after a deadly shooting at a Florida movie theater, opening statements are set to be presented. And the death of Amir Locke.
Our son died by the hands of Minneapolis police, a trigger-happy Minneapolis police officer.
How Locke's family is seeking justice. But first,
State of Wisconsin versus Darrell Brooks.
The deadly Waukesha holiday parade. What plea accused Darrell Brooks enters. Law and Crime Daily covering court cases from coast to coast. Welcome everyone to Law and Crime Daily. I'm Brian Buckmeyer along with Terry Austin. The man accused of killing 6 people and injuring dozens more in the Waukesha holiday parade pleads not guilty to more than 70 charges. Accused Darrell Brooks Jr. appeared in Waukesha County Court on Friday for his arraignment. Last November, prosecutors say 39-year-old Brooks drove his vehicle through a crowded holiday parade, killing 6 people and injuring dozens more. He now faces 77 total charges, including 6 counts of homicide and multiple counts of reckless endangerment. In a brief court appearance on Friday, the court commissioner announced a new judge will be appointed to the case. Brooks' defense team also entered a plea on behalf of their client.
Good morning, Mr. Brooks. We are here on your arraignment date. Uploaded into the file yesterday, I believe it was a motion for substitution of judge. That is timely filed, and already the matter has been reassigned to Judge Doro. And so
He looked like he cut his hair.
Attorney Perry, will Mr. Brooks acknowledge that he has received a copy of the information, and will he waive its reading?
Yes, we've received a copy of the information. We'd waive formal reading, and we can enter pleas of not guilty this morning.
Brooks' attorney has filed for a change of venue motion due to national media attention the case has received. Brooks is set to appear in court next month. Joining us today is criminal defense attorney Matthew Mangino and Terry Austin. Matthew, as we learn more and more about Brooks Jr.'s criminal history, how did that affect the investigation into why his bail was so low?
Well, Brian, it's really interesting. As I understand it, he had a 50-page rap sheet, which means he had a series of charges and convictions over an extended period of time. When you consider bail, you look at 2 different things. One is this person likely to evade further hearings and leave the jurisdiction, not be available for trial. And number 2, is he a safety risk? Is there a risk that he could offend while he's on bail? And that's what happened here. So it's really difficult to imagine a scenario where the district attorney or the court, having been aware of a 50-page rap sheet, would set his bail at $1,000. So it's going to be interesting to see where this investigation goes.
Yeah, that's definitely a head scratcher. I'm not a big proponent of pretrial incarceration, but this seems to be a situation that seemed like someone overlooked something. Terry, Brooks filed a motion for change of venue, but this case has had national attention. So will he be successful?
Well, I doubt he will be successful, Brian. You know, change of venue is always made when the defendant or his attorney believes he's not going to get a fair trial. Obviously, under the Sixth Amendment, he's entitled to a fair trial. But this case got so much publicity, it really doesn't matter where he goes in Wisconsin. All of those counties are about the same size, which is one of the things the judge is going to consider. And everyone has heard of this case. So the judge will probably deny that motion.
Yeah, we'll see how that continues as this case develops and goes on. I agree with you, Terry. I don't see a change of venue here that would survive an argument, but we'll see. And in Mississippi, a father and son are charged for chasing.
Yeah, pause right
Called
there.
for a state and nationwide ban on no.
To the next one. Let me see. Stop right here. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Let me go ahead and move to the next one. You know, we can. Something happened like a couple of days ago too. So just give me 1 second because I gotta scroll down. I hope you guys can hear me. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So this like this dude is poor thing. He's he's getting a bad shake. We'll get into that. I don't care. I don't know why. First thing when the trial comes, probably make a different. I don't think I'll make a different decision, but definitely gonna see where my choice to kind of enjoy this, enjoy what's happening right here, might take a different turn. Let's see. I'm watching it together.
I have lost 25 pounds with Noom.
I've lost 97 pounds with Noom.
I've lost 25 pounds on Noom.
I lost 17 pounds with Noom.
I have lost 30 pounds using Noom.
I've lost 92 pounds on Noom.
Since I started Noom, I've lost 70 pounds.
I've lost 48 and a half pounds with.
Happening today, Darrell Brooks, the man accused of driving his SUV through the Waukesha Christmas parade, killing 6 people, injuring dozens more, is due to appear in court today.
But it is not for the charges in Waukesha. This is a separate case for incidents that happened before the parade. Arlene Rojas Castillo joins us live from the Milwaukee County Courthouse with a closer look at what is happening today. Elaine, good morning.
Good morning, Susan and Vince. Now, while Darrell Brooks will appear in court in Waukesha for the Waukesha charges on Friday, he'll appear virtually in court today here in Milwaukee for a preliminary hearing on 3 other felony charges, including victim intimidation, intimidating a witness, and bail jumping. Now, those charges stem from a complaint filed by a victim back in December, where they allege Brooks tried to stop them from cooperating with the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office's investigation into a domestic dispute. In November, Brooks allegedly punched the victim in the face and hit her with his car. While in custody, prosecutors say Brooks called his mother and tried to get her to convince the victim to drop the case. Today's status hearing will also address Brooks's other charges in Milwaukee, which include resisting an officer, second-degree reckless endangerment, disorderly conduct, and battery. Now, if he's convicted on these charges, Brooks faces fines of $25,000 and up to 10 years in prison for the 2 intimidation counts, and up to $10,000 and 6 years in jail for the bail jumping charge. Reporting live in Milwaukee, Elaine Rojas Castillo, TMJ4 News.
All right, Elaine, thank you. And as Elaine mentioned, Brooks will be in court this Friday for his charges related to the Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy. He's accused of killing 6 people: Bill Hospel, Leanna Owen, Jane Kolich, Jenny Sorensen, Tamara Durand, and the youngest victim, 8-year-old Jackson Sparks. Dozens more were also injured. If you would like to help those who are still impacted by that tragic event, You can give a donation by going to waukeshafoundation.org/parade.
Definitely not a good look. Definitely not. Let's see right here. One more.
I used to pay $162 every month for my car insurance. Now, check out how much I'm paying.
Commercials. Okay. Yes, he's entering the charges.
CF-1848, State of Wisconsin versus Daryl Brooks. We'll get around to it, but apparently the matter has been retabbed to Judge Doro with a timely filed request for substitution of judge by the defense, asking for substitution against Judge Boran.
He cut his locks off.
By the state, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sue Epper and Leslie Basie appearing on behalf of the state.
Good morning to the defense.
Daryl Brooks appears in person in custody with his attorneys, Anna Keys and Jeremy Perry. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Brooks. We are here on your arraignment date. Uploaded into the file yesterday, I believe it was a motion for substitution of judge. That is timely filed, and already the matter has been reassigned to Judge Doro. And so let me turn to Attorney Perry. Attorney Perry, will Mr. Brooks acknowledge that he has received a copy of the information, and will he waive its reading?
Yes, we've received a copy of the information. We'd waive formal reading, and we can enter pleas of not guilty this morning.
Thank you very much. And with that, we simply need to get a date before Judge Doro.
March 9 at 8:30 or 9.
What is the court's intention as to the purpose of this hearing? Is it just further proceedings or?
No, this next date in front of Judge Doro.
The next date, yes.
I would think to get it in front of Judge Doro so she can start managing scheduling. Yes.
I'm in trial that day. Yeah, no, we're not available that day.
Okay, that's fine.
March 11th at 9:30 or 11.
9 is fine for us.
I don't know why. It sounds low. I hope you guys can hear it.
Okay with you? Yes, 9 a.m. on the 11th will work, Your Honor.
Good, so we'll use that date. I don't think we have to do anything else except our victim witness person, Ms. Dunn, is here. Is there anybody from the audience who's entitled to, as a victim, wish to make a statement? Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. So with that, unless there's anything else, Attorney Hopper, anything?
No, sir, thank
Attorney
you.
Perry?
No, that's it.
I think we're all set. Thank you, folks. We can be adjourned.
Wait, I couldn't hear it. Did he plead or not?
This next date in front of Judge
The next
Doro.
date, yes.
I would think to get it in front of Judge Doro so she can start managing schedule.
Purpose of this hearing, is it just further proceedings or?
No, this next date in front of Judge
The
Doro.
next date, yes.
I would think to get it in front of Judge Doro. A date before Judge Doro. Perry, Attorney Perry, will Mr. Brooks acknowledge that he has received a copy of the information, and will he waive its reading?
Yes, we've received a copy of the information. We'd waive formal reading, and we can enter pleas of not guilty this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, so he pled not guilty.
We simply need to get a date before Judge Doro.
And I guess they reschedule it. We're rescheduling it for
8:30 or 9.
next month sometime.
What is the court's intention as to the purpose of this hearing? Is it just further proceedings or?
No, this next date in front of Judge Doro.
The next date, yes.
I would think to get it in front of Judge Doro so she can start managing scheduling. Yes.
I'm in trial that day. Yeah, no, we're not available that day.
Okay, that's fine.
March 11th at 9:30 or 11.
Well, I guess we're tuning in then. March 11th and 9/11.
9 is fine for us.
Okay. Okay with you? Yes, 9 a.m. on the 11th will work, Your Honor.
Good, so we'll use that date.
So basically,
I don't
pled
think
not
we have
guilty to
do
both of them.
Anything else except our victim witness person, Ms. Dunn, is here. Is there anybody from the audience who's entitled to, as a victim, wish to make a statement? Thank you very much. Thank you, folks. So with that, unless there's anything else, Attorney Hopper, anything?
No, sir, thank
Attorney
you.
Perry?
That dude is
I
so
think we're all
fucking
set. Thank you, folks.
obscenely
We can be adjourned.
Caucasian. Is ridiculous. Here's a white hair, white eyebrows, like fucking Father Christmas. Their version. Shit's funny. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, they cut it off. All right, great. One more. Oh shit. Oops. Yeah, one more, fellas. I guess he's gonna plead not guilty, which is probably before the best. Cause that was like, I would fight it too. I would fight it a whole bunch. Now, as I was scrolling by, looking to find out updates about my boy, I decided to check out a whole bunch of other things. What is this? Okay, yeah. I came across this video and I decided to scroll on it and check it out. And I guess it's another group of podcasters. And I was just like, I wonder what they think. Because I hear a lot of people have covered it. Everybody has the consensus of like, oh my God, he should stay in there forever, And I'm probably like the only one that's like, I got like 18, at least 16, I would say that, 16 points of reasonable doubt. So I was like that, but I wanted to focus on this podcast that I seen, and about this I don't know, I guess they're called the Flawed Couple. Yeah, and I don't know, but I'm gonna play it for you guys because I wanted to see what their perspective was. I saw it. Yeah, so I'm gonna share it with you. And we can I was just like like you'll see what I'm talking about, Black Family. You'll see what I'm talking about. And I was just like So we're gonna talk about that right now. I'm gonna flash on that. Highlight that. We're gonna be watching this together. Join me in this madness that I'm about to show your eyes. It's crazy. Yeah, I came across this just like
How the fuck did he get out?
On November 10th.
Let me go back. Let's to the start of the show.
What is good? Welcome back to the Floodcast. I am your boy Flodzilla, and I'm here with my lovely co-host Mozilla.
What up, y'all?
This is the last known place on the internet, and I'm glad you could be here with us tonight or today, whenever you're watching this. And you will be too by the end of this video. I guarantee it, or your money back, bro. So yeah, today we are talking about this idiot who drove through people at a parade.
Yes.
For whatever reason, we will discuss what could possibly be motive or whatever. What we think could possibly be motive.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not based on anything but my just thoughts. My thoughts and opinion, because I don't know what I'm talking about ever. This is just my opinion. So You know, let's just get into this, man. Don't try to portray me as an expert, because I'm not that. That's obviously what the left always does when they try to tell me, oh, you're just spreading propaganda. Like, no, nigga, I'm just spreading my opinion.
We're
That's
literally just watching and
speaking on what we're seeing. That's it.
All I got was a news break notification.
Me
I didn't
too.
even read the article yet, but
I didn't read anything.
Didn't see a video.
Me either. It's the first video I'm watching right here. So, because obviously we want to watch it with you guys.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, whatever we say, obviously don't take it as the gospel, but we're going to speak our minds. So, without further ado, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever we drop. As we do drop a lot.
Very fast.
Okay. Every time. Why? Why do you need the last word?
It's
you don't.
like a tick.
No, it's not. It's you're a woman. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with a tick. You're ticklish. I'm just joking.
I am.
It's not because you're a woman, because I want the last word as well.
I
so
know you do. Because you know why? This is my chance to get the last word.
how?
Family, you know what we're thinking.
Because you know I'm gonna be professional and keep it pushing. Is that what you're trying to say? Motherfucker. Motherfucker. All right.
Word.
Let's get into this.
Go.
And what the police chief there, Chief Thompson, tried to do was really separate fact from fiction, saying we know there's been a lot of speculation out there. So it came down to a couple things he wanted to stress. There was no evidence of terror here. He did not, despite some reports that you may have seen on social media,
That's what people
know
jump to
anyone
automatically.
involved in the parade, that he was involved in some sort of domestic disturbance.
ISIS.
And before police could even arrive, he had broken through the barricades. He has been identified as 39-year-old Daryl E. Brooks of Milwaukee. Brian Polson is in the newsroom.
Unless he's
Brian,
white, then
since
it's
last night
racial.
when you first learned who this was, you have been
Automatic.
investigating.
Yeah.
Tell us everything we know about this suspect.
Well, and I want to be clear, there's been a lot of speculation on social media, which doesn't seem to hesitate to put a fact out, whether or not
You're
it's
damn
verifiable.
right.
Everything I'm about to tell you,
Because we trying to
comes
get to
from
the
court-
fucking truth. Don't try to make it crazy that we just be throwing shit out
Right?
there. We know what we do. We're human. That's what
For
we're here
real.
for. You act like the media ain't doing that.
We wanna
That's the
know.
craziest thing. The media is the one that shouldn't be doing that.
For real.
We are just human beings. We're going to
Yep.
talk about what we think because we are just normal people living in this
Yep.
fucking world trying to communicate because we can't get the
trying not
true
to
information
judge,
from
man.
y'all.
Y'all,
So
fuck yeah.
obviously, we're just gonna fucking try to get to the bottom of it.
Oh,
I don't even blame us for that. You know,
Me either.
we want to know what the fuck is going on, and y'all got all the money behind your news, so it doesn't. You don't report the news the way it should be reported. So
We're gonna try to find out ourselves.
we're gonna find out. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Media is biased regardless. So people are gonna talk. Obviously,
Always.
don't shame me.
For sure.
Let's get it.
court records that have been verified. The big question we're all wondering, how in the world could someone barrel through a holiday
For real.
parade full of children and families? But
Crazy.
another question that is likely to haunt those families going forward is, why was 39-year-old Daryl Brooks Jr. out of jail in the first place? This is not the first time Brooks has been accused of running someone over with his SUV. It's not even the first time this month.
This dude's
Brooks
a
has a
fucking
long
menace.
and a violent criminal record that includes everything from drugs.
Look,
I would say he's a menace, but that's me personally, listening because I, lived a nefarious little life. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not gonna say he's a menace like that. I'm mostly reacting off of old boy's reaction because I'm looking at old boy like, sad state of affairs. But I'm trying not to judge, man. I'm trying to control myself, and it's just visually judging. You know what I mean? I haven't really judged him on his thought or anything. It's just mostly visual, just like most people would do, I guess. And I'm like, damn, family, have you ever seen a brother that looked like this? And it was a brother? You know what I mean? Nope. I'd have to say nope. No. But not only that, but it's just like the visual look. Just off of visuals and never exploring, I got like 10 statements of judgment, period, that just was not trying to get involved in. But I had yet to, I felt like just check these people out, see if they're on the same mindset, see what they're thinking about when they're talking about, this cat right here, Daryl Brooks Jr.
From guns to strangulation and battery.
Oh my
He's
God.
fathered children with
He
at
looks
least
dead
3
in his
different
eyes.
women, a fact that will become relevant in just a moment.
Yeah.
In 2011, he tried to flee from Milwaukee police
He
And an
looks
officer wrote in
demonic.
his report that he felt Brooks was trying to run him over with his car. This is 10 years
Wow.
ago. The officer
Wow.
jumped
10
into the
years.
car, wrestled the wheel away from Brooks, who then ran away on foot and was arrested.
So
was
he
charged
been
with a
foreshadowing
misdemeanor.
this shit.
But it's what happened.
Misdemeanor, they just said.
That's it?
From trying to run over a cop, he got charged with a misdemeanor.
Wow.
10 years ago. I mean, granted, who hasn't wanted to, peg them boys once in a while, or just, you know what I mean? So I'm just looking at it like, who hasn't thought about that?
What are we talking about here? Why is he what? I don't get it.
10 years ago is 10 years ago. That's all I gotta say.
Wow.
He sounds like a fucking menace to society.
I don't know if
Holy shit, man. This sounds like, remember in New Hampshire when we just left there, they started just like letting everybody get out of jail, PR bail, no matter what they did. You could
Because, before you can go any further, because if you ever go to jail, you will be lucky if you get a fucking PR bond. If you do get one, you better take it. Man, your ass couldn't hang up in there for like longer than fucking a couple hours before you start going fucking crazy. There's some people who are just not built for jail. Them PR bonds are kind of meant for them motherfuckers. I have to get a PR bond or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever many. You know what I mean? And best believe I was pretty stoked about it. Especially if I didn't do it. You know what I mean? If I was innocent, a PR bond is majorly motherfucking helpful. Jail's overcrowded, man. If you didn't really think you was gonna you could stiff it out for fucking 9-10 months, you're gonna be lucky. It's easier to fight this case on the outside than it is from the inside. Think about that. Think about that. You could obviously tell this fool had never been to jail because he's always talking about PR bonds and how bad they are. Oh nah, anybody's ever been to jail, motherfucker be thankful to get a PR bond. In fact, we're all sitting in the little queue. There's like 20 of us waiting to see the judge, and just have to count on the first 10 on how good your luck is gonna be when you come up to the judge. And the judge willing to give out PR bonds, everybody gonna have an alright decent day, depending on how what you're there for, how bad it is. You know what I mean? Be thankful. Shit, you can tell neither of these fools really been to jail. Somebody who consciously or actively in and out of jail, for whatever reasons, PR bond is a blessing, for real.
shoot people. You could do anything and they will let you out on PR bail.
Yes.
That is crazy.
Yep.
Like, what is going on right now, man?
Yep.
It's like they want crazy unrest and criminals and
PR bail.
like this shit is crazy. Oh my god.
Then ran away on foot and was arrested. He was charged with a misdemeanor. But it's what happened in just the past 2 years that already has the Milwaukee County DA calling for changes in the county's pretrial release system.
Makes face tattoos look
July
bad.
of 2020, 4 months into the pandemic, when Brooks allegedly got into an argument with his nephew and he fired a gun at him. This is at a house on North 19th Street. It's a gun Brooks shouldn't have even had because he's a felon.
Before I wouldn't even reacted like that. I'm like, what did old boy do? Why would that have happened? It's always a cause and effect. And even then, if it's like that, isn't there some sort of mental health issue we probably should be discussing? Look at it that way.
He was arrested for that incident, charged with multiple felonies, ordered not to have contact with his nephew, his mother, who lives and owns the house, and others. Bail was set at $10,000. But 7 months later, in February of this year,
10,000's enough? 10,000 is enough.
Believe me, that shit is pretty fucking expensive.
Listen, okay. So I'm not gonna say this person's name, right? But my friend, obviously, I was Sally's. You know what friend I'm talking about. This dude was when I was in jail with him.
Yeah.
When we were in jail together, his bail was 80.
If that's the case, don't you think you'd be like feeling a little different about this PR bond situation?
5 G's, because he was at a fight. Didn't even fight. He was at a fight and he was drunk. Someone on the scene fucked up this person badly in this whole entire fight. He wasn't fighting, but he was the last person on the scene because he was drunk. Because someone tried to jump in and he pulled the person off of the fight, right? pulled the extra person who was going to do more damage,
Yeah.
pulled him off of the fight. And then, like, while he was pulling him off, they got away from the fight. The fight happened. He came back. He was the only person there and the person who got fucked up.
Yeah.
And someone else. And he got tackled by someone. Someone citizens arrested him.
Oh my
And
God.
he went to jail. They knew he wasn't the one who did it, but they gave him all the charges because they were like, we want you to tell on him.
Yeah.
So his bail was $85,000, bro.
Cash surety, that's 85.
No, it was 85 cash.
Are you
Yeah, it was
serious? Are you
85,000
serious?
cash.
Even if it wasn't, if it was a surety, it
Yeah.
would be 8,500.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of money to put together.
And I'm pretty
Holy
sure I
shit.
was like, bro, they gave you a crazy bail because they wanted you to tell. Maybe you should go try to get your bail lowered. And then they raised it.
What?
Yes, he went to court and then they raised it. And I forget how high they raised it, but they raised it even. I think it was cash surety, and then they raised it to cash.
That's bullshit.
When he went there. And I was like, what the fuck? This dude didn't even do anything. Meanwhile, this dude shot at his nephew.
That's crazy, yo.
And only had a $10,000 bail. What is going on in
Jealous, cuz? Stop it. Calm down, guys.
wherever he's at, man?
That's wild.
A judge reduced that bail to just $500.
Oh.
A man named Isaiah Davis, who we were not able to get a hold of.
Why are you going to be mad at him? Probably had a good defense right there. I mean, in order to get a PR bond, you gotta go through the little pre-trial shit, you know. It's probably some good stuff in his favor to let that happen.
On deadline today, posted bail.
Not to mention, you got a good public defender. Anything's possible.
Brooks was released at that time. This is again in February of this year.
They
He was
asked for this
placed
type of
on
shit,
what's
bro.
known as
Like,
intensive
put
pretrial
this nigga
supervision
in
through Justice.
lock him
But
up
because of the
forever.
pandemic, even level 5 intensive supervision.
And because of statements like that, my guy probably will have that happen.
Requires no in-person contact, just phone appointments. One of the conditions of his release was that he commit no new crimes. Earlier this month, November 2nd,
He's a
Brooks
menace to
arrested
society.
again, this time for allegedly beating a woman with whom he shares a child. But get this, police say he also used his car to run the woman over, leaving her face bloody and tire tracks on her pants
Bro.
leg. The car he's accused of using
How
to
is
do
he
it,
free?
a 2010 maroon Ford Escape.
Fuck.
The
How is he
same
free?
vehicle
November
police say was
2nd.
used in the parade massacre
How
on
the
Sunday.
fuck did he get out?
On November 10th,
How
this
is
is just
he
a couple
free?
of weeks ago.
That's a new crime,
Justice Point
motherfucker.
issued a violation notice to the court because of that new crime. Remember, he wasn't supposed to commit any
Yeah.
crimes while he was out. But the very day after that violation report was issued, Veterans Day, again, this is 11 days ago now, Brooks posted $500
There's
cash
video
bail.
of it.
Who
Oh
paid
my
for
God.
it?
I don't know if I
His
can watch
mother,
that.
Dawn Woods, even though he's under a court order to have no
He
contact
knows it's a
with her.
fucking parade.
After that $500 bail was posted,
Yo,
I'm
this
sorry,
dude's a
can-
fucking
Waukesha
demon.
Can you run
Sure,
that back a
Brooks,
second?
He's a
Yeah,
demon.
because I was like so into that video. Why they play that while
He's
he's
a
still telling
demon.
us?
He's a demon.
Brooks posted $500 cash bail. Who paid for it? His mother, Dawn Woods, even though he's under a court order to have no contact with her.
Wow.
After that $500 bail was posted,
Wow.
court records in Waukesha show Brooks ended up in the Waukesha County Jail for a hearing on unpaid child support. During that hearing, this is last Tuesday, the state of Wisconsin asked a judge to throw him in jail even longer for being tens of thousands of dollars behind on paying child support to yet another mother with whom he shares a child. But instead, last Tuesday, November 16th, that judge released him on his own recognizance, setting a review hearing for next month. 5 days later, after he was released from Waukesha, Brooks is now accused of driving that 2010 Ford Escape through the Waukesha holiday parade, killing 5 people, injuring dozens more, and traumatizing a community for years to come. In the newsroom,
Wow.
Brian Polson, Fox 6 Investigators.
And Brian, this Ford Escape has played a role in videos. This guy fancies himself as some sort of rapper. In a video he made, that
Of
vehicle
course.
is prominently displayed.
And it's
Bro,
even shown if you look up the address
this
he's
nigga's
connected
trash,
to, the address
bro.
where
He's
his
a
mother
demon
lives,
all
where
the way
shooting
around.
took place 2 years ago. If you happen to look it up through Google Maps, and you go to Street View, guess what's parked out front?
Yeah.
A red Ford Escape.
Yeah.
So he's obviously been driving that for some time. And again, that's the vehicle he's
Unacceptable.
accused of using to
Unacceptable.
run a woman over just a few weeks ago, and then using it again to allegedly run down so many people.
This doesn't make any sense, bro.
Clearly hearing the
Unacceptable.
pattern
This doesn't
of
make any
behavior there
sense.
and everything that
personally, I just think, yeah, that's probably crazy. I said it before. Let's just look at the fact that he probably needs help. And there was a time where I think I got in trouble, like back to back. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. And yeah, as soon as I got out, just a little while later, went right back in. I got back out, went right back in. You know what I mean? And it was back to back. I was like, damn, I couldn't find a fucking break. I was constantly I had this negative shit going on in my life, man. And it seems like you can't take this back, that yeah, he probably had some shit going on. I mean, considering that he was behind allegedly child support, got a motherfucking problematic new baby mama. I mean, you had to use your vehicle to escape from that bitch. Why she jumped in front of the car, I don't know. Because it didn't she kind of has to get in the way of the car in order to get hit, right? I mean, come on, let's think about that for a second. But looking at the reaction to this, and I'm just like,
Absolutely.
It happened before this. It was almost like a foreshadowing of something.
Yes, that's what I just said.
And it is a shame that this whole thing fell through the cracks. I mean, clearly this man should
fell
not
through
have
the
been
cracks. They fucking pushed him out.
It's certainly a difficult
pushed
thing
him out
to
over and
imagine
over
being one
again.
of those families who's dealing with grief right now, to know that had any one of these judges along the way said, no, that's
did
just
their
not
fucking
enough bail,
job,
or no, we're going to need to hold him a little bit longer, he would not have been free to commit this act on Sunday, and obviously those lives would not have been affected in this way. It's not to say there wouldn't have been some other incident down the road, but certainly there were many chances for him not to be on the street this past weekend. And he was.
Right. You have so much more to tell us about
just
it.
within the month of November alone.
Amazing
That is
reporting in this.
crazy, bro.
Thank you.
Go. Come on, start the car. We're leaving.
Bullshit.
That is fucking crazy, bro.
Bullshit. Then let me miss a fucking court date and
They
fucking
come
keep
roll
me
up on
in
you at
jail for a
Motel
fucking
6.
week. Let this dude get out on fucking multiple times. This is ridiculous. That is absurd. That is unacceptable. That is
there's people like that think about us committing like a whole bunch of crimes and shit and getting caught in trouble and all kinds of extra stuff happening to us. It's probably what they think too. They look at us like, oh my god, this person looks like a demon, major gang member, major criminal, blah blah. They should stay under the jail. I know. I remember a time when someone wanted me to stay under the jail, and I was like, principal, I'm not fucking staying under the jail, especially when I didn't do it. You know what I mean?
not okay.
The craziest thing about this, right, is I don't understand how this guy can get arrested so many times, and we just we ignore these type of statistics in this world when we say, oh, this country's racist, they're trying to bury all black people in prison, which it is, obviously, because there's a lot of the numbers of black people in prison is crazy.
Yes.
Right, staggering.
Of course.
The number, just our country's prison industrial complex is just fucking ruined.
You don't
right?
even
It's
need
just
to
ruined,
see
period.
that statistic. You can look and see that.
Yeah, the country with the prisons in this country are fucking ridiculous in the first place. But what the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
How is this nigga free, bro? This doesn't make any sense. I don't know what is going on.
Me either.
In this situation, but this is wild to me. I honestly, I thought, now I immediately was like, okay, this happened right after the Kyle Rittenhouse shit. This dude probably has some connections to Black Lives Matter.
Agreed.
And is mad, has vengeance in his heart, and wants to get back at it. But after this, he's just a fucking maniac.
A fucking menace. A menace.
He's a fucking menace to society. Needs to be locked up.
Now a murderer.
Now he's a multi murderer.
Yep.
Spree, right? That's a spree murderer.
Yep.
Bro, 5 fucking people. Prayers go out to those families, man. And everybody who was injured, everyone who was there, traumatized during it. That shit is fucking crazy, bro. Yo, disgusting. They said he was a rapper.
Get the fuck out of here.
They said he was a rapper.
Everybody's a fucking rapper.
Yeah, right?
Everything's a fucking rapper. He's a fucking criminal. He's not a fucking rapper.
I wouldn't
He's
be
a fucking
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he did this to get views on his song.
Yeah.
To get, because I remember when this nigga got arrested for murder and was being walked from the from the county, from the police department to the van to be brought to the jail, and he said, "Go download my mixtape." And he's going to jail for life.
Who?
This dude.
Wow.
It was on World Star a few years ago. He said, "Go download my mixtape. Just dropped."
Like,
bro, you're going to prison for life.
That's what I was gonna say.
just to
This
get
dude has
clicks?
life now. So what's the point?
Just like TK, look at him, fucking doing all this
Crazy.
crime, rapping about it. Now he's in prison for a very long time.
So crazy.
It's ridiculous, man. Holy
like,
shit! And I saw that there was a Democrat lady that said, "Hold on, let me bring this up because I already have it open real quick." I wanted to bring this up, but what are you gonna say? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the fact that if there was any other video that they had, but that video
There is. I'm pretty sure there is.
that motherfucker.
I haven't seen any of them.
From that little clip, he knew there was a fucking parade and he
Yeah,
was driving.
no,
through
obviously
it.
he's in the.
There's people right here. Just hold on one second. Yeah, I think Brother Che trying to come on. Give me a second. Yeah, give me a second real quick, okay? I have no idea why I allegedly sent him a link. And why didn't it go through? I don't know. Let's find out. Like, he could have said something a long time ago. So apparently he didn't, though. Let's see. Okay. Let's see one more time. 1 second, family. 1 second. Block this user. Alright. Here we go. One sec. What? 1 second, okay? 1 second, family. People, I swear. Never mind. I guess he ain't coming on. Okay, anyway, back to what I was saying. Damn fucking reverse mirrors. Okay. Sorry, you're beeping in my ear. Yeah, so now that we've seen that, we've seen this fucking weirdness. I'm gonna go ahead and stop that right there where it is. Come back. So I was briefly distracted by nonsense. Get back to what I was doing. I lost my train of thought. Stop already. 1 second, family. Sorry about that, family. It's rudely interrupted by individuals who don't know how to fucking behave themselves as usual. So, there's always something. You always want something, or they want to bother you, or self-sabotaging, or basically, just interrupt your groove because they don't have anything better to do except be an ass. So we'll move past that. No, I don't like that shit, man. I don't like it at all. That shit, if you know you're not gonna do something, just why the fuck even tell me? Like, you feel me? Let's move it along. Upon watching the shout out to the Black Authority. Upon watching the Black Authority, Jason Blackhead, in one of his shows, had discussed reparations for the gay community. We're gonna be able to get reparations, and let's see if I can find that. I would say, let me see if I can find that. So you guys could see what I was talking about, but I don't feel like looking for it right this second. Either way, it's happening, and the article was that he was reading online was pretty fucking intense, and it caused me to think about my own life and my family members and whatnot. One of my family members who had a mate that passed away like in 95, 96. And that if that was the only way he was going to be able to get reparations based on that end, I was like, that's pretty fucking shitty, Then we did our program on Frontline Black News on Saturday, where I went in and I was irate. I feel like the only person that's really mad about this situation. I don't know why I'm really mad. I shouldn't be mad because it seems like everybody's just like, and I'm like, come on now, pull it together, So this isn't the first time, I guess, that they've been discussing this, and it's probably not going to be the last. So we're gonna explore this together. I'm gonna pull up some material from a few years back when they decided to discuss it and read an article, and then express my views, and then I think that'll be it because to go do something in the morning. I don't know. I might just stop it at that point and get back into some other things that I'm quite passionate about. I see you, little eyeball. Glad to know you're watching. Hope it's not who I think it is. If it is, tune out now. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and share this. Yeah. Okay. I'll share the screen. We're gonna watch this together. Fair use is enacted. All right. Commercials.
particularly the Duwamish. I'm the Executive Director of Town Hall Seattle. On behalf of Town Hall, its team, and our friends this evening at the LA Bay Book Company, it's a pleasure to welcome you to tonight's virtual presentation of Omar Encarnacion and Cristiano Bay Sumner as part of our Civic series. As we get underway, I want to acknowledge that our institution stands on the unceded traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, particularly the Duwamish. We thank them for our continuing use of the natural resources of their ancestral homeland. Tonight's conversation will run around an hour, including Q&A, just under probably. Questions will be selected from those in the chat field at the bottom of the video player, so please submit yours at any time. You can also text questions to 206-504-2857. That number is noted in the chat. You don't have to scribble anything. We can't guarantee we'll get to every question. We'll try to get to as many as possible. And for those who want to view the program with closed captions, click the CC button in the bottom right corner of the video player. Town Hall's adding new programs all the time, but we confess we're starting to slow down a bit as we prepare for a July-August hiatus. Civics programs are supported by the Real Networks Foundation, the True Brown Foundation, KUO.
Okay, come on now.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and it's super exciting to be here with you, Omar. First of all, I love reading your book. This was a book I had tried to get a physical copy of, but I ended up reading it virtually because it was there must be some great demand for it. But I wanted to start this off with, for folks who are looking forward to reading the book, perhaps buying it tonight, that link. Can you please share a snapshot of what they can look forward to, sort of like an overarching?
So talk about the book is
thank you,
called
Christina, for
Case for Gay Reparations
agreeing to do
Beyond
this in the
Making
first place, and then to Town
in the
Hall
US.
for so graciously inviting me to be part of their programming. So the book provides an overview of what myself and others
marginalize and dehumanize and even eradicate eradicate LGBT people. Our governments coming around to confront this historical legacy. How do we make sense of the diversity of gay? Holy Christ! Stop messaging me. I would like I can hear it so loud in my headphones. It's ridiculous. How do we make sense of the diversity of gay reparations implemented by governments around the world, and what do American policy of gay reparations look like? Draw upon the rich history of reparations to confront the legacies of genocide, slavery, and political repression. He argues that gay reparations are a moral obligation intended to restore dignity to those whose human rights have been violated. He examines how Western democracies, notorious for the repression of homosexuals, specifically Spain, Britain, Germany, implanted gay reparations from a formal apology to financial compensation to the eradication of monuments to the memory of those who have suffered. They have monuments? The LGBTQ? ? I need to look into that further. Oh my God. Implement gay reparations from a formal apology to financial compensation. Gee, it sounds like what we're asking for. Horrible shit. While there's no universal approach to gay reparations, foreign experiences reveal that it's never too late for countries to seek right past wrongs. Okay, give that. I'm gonna give his accolades. Thank you. I would say accolades.
for gay reparations, which stand for a wide range of policies intended to make amends to the LGBTQ community for a long history of systemic discrimination and violence. So they have to look forward to an argument as to why we should do this, but they also can look forward to a history that is often overlooked. By that I mean the history of repression of gay folk in the US. They'll also get to learn about what other countries have done with respect to reparations, especially Spain, Germany, and Britain. These are countries that, like the US, also have a history of anti-gay discrimination and violence, but that for a whole host of reasons have been able to enact the kinds of policies that I wish were enacted in this country. And then finally, I think people will get to see what I think in terms of what we could do as we look to other countries' experiences and find our own way to do what perhaps needs to be done to address this particular legacy.
Yes, and it's one of those reads that are pretty engaging. It's I think it's about like 250 pages, I believe, and I believe that you also wrote out a case for gay reparations in an article in 2019 as well, and you talk a little bit of how it landed with folks in the second to last chapter, which I thought I really appreciated that. Can you share more about how this book perhaps came out of that 2019 article and some of the clarifications you made in the book about sort of like how folks reacted to it?
Surely. So the book was inspired by events that took place in the summer of 2018. I was in the midst of writing another book, which I had to put on hold. That book deals with the global anti-gay rights backlash. It's a big comparative text, which I've been working on for quite some time. But in any case, in the summer of 2018, completely out of the blue, the NYPD issued an apology to the gay community of New York City. For the events that led to the raid at the Stonewall Inn, which eventually led, of course, to the Stonewall riots. This was, as I said,
This was like crazy right there. Okay, we stop right there because I don't feel like that was getting to where I really wanted it to go. Give me 1 second. I felt like that was just okay. All right, here we go. Let's just see what this is all about right here. I'll see you, little eyeball. Thanks for viewing. There we go. Right here. All right, let's see what this guy has to say. Fair use.
Brothers and sisters, I'm Liberal Lucas, and today I'm here to discuss reparations. Brothers and sisters, kings and queens, we have been got. We have been hoodwinked. We have been bamboozled. We have been lied to. Now, for those of you who do not know what I'm referring to the House. That's correct, the House that has unanimously, let me repeat that back to you again in case some of y'all didn't hear it, unanimously passed a bill that would give same people loving individuals reparations. That you heard me correct, reparations, because you all remember when Black people asked for reparations. You all remember what they said, right? No. Y'all remember what they said. Oh, why would we do that? It happened so long ago. Oh, what, yada, yada, whoop, whoop, all that nonsense that they wanted to scream and holler in our faces, right? That's what the same thing the white supremacists love to do. It was so long ago that happened. Why would we even think about giving y'all anything? That's because y'all did it. Y'all the ones that did it. Y'all the ones that did it. And now want to tell us to forget about what you did? No. That is not how that works. But here's the thing. Even the bill they put forward for Black individuals, for adults. Okay, for those of you who know what that is, holla to you. What they did was said, let us investigate. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how the white supremacists love to do that? Let us investigate what we already know and is well documented that we did. Brothers and sisters, kings and queens, is that not the most ridiculous thing you have ever heard in your life? Let us investigate the impact that slavery has done. Let us investigate the impact that white supremacy has done to the Black individual. All you have to do is go outside. All you Democrats in the House, all you have to do is just walk outside. All you have to do is try to get a taxi while being Black. All you have to do is try to walk while being Black. All you have to do is try to live your life while being Black, and you will see the impact that slavery has happened. You will see the impact that white supremacy has accosted us. But no, when it comes to the Kit Kats, and that's what I'm gonna call them, because you ever seen a Kit Kat? They're one and the same. They just right next to each other. When it comes to the Kit Kats, they don't even need to investigate. They don't need to do any investigation on what type of damage has been done to them. They are automatically pass a bill to give them reparations. But when it comes to the black, when it comes to the Negroes, well, you know, we always last. That's how they like to treat us. White supremacists always like to treat us last, but they want to talk to us like we're first. Woo! I'm preaching now. They want to treat us like we're last, but talk to us like we're first. Brothers and sisters, kings and queens, we cannot allow this. We cannot allow this. We cannot approve of this message. Because if they are willing to make this bill pass, then they damn well sure better make our bill pass. Now, if y'all haven't cotton on to the hustle they have going on, if you haven't cotton on to who runs the country, and tell you one thing, it's not straight individuals, it's not the heterosexual individuals, it is the Kit Kats that run the country, because you can see how quickly they are to target you once you call them out. You see how quickly that bill got through, didn't you? Because some of them on the House are a little, you know, they Kit Kats themselves. I'm just saying, brothers and sisters, we got to keep this evil away from our community. We got to keep our black men strong and our black women even stronger. My brothers and sisters, my kings and queens, the time for protesting is over. The time for tweets is over. The time for Facebook posts is over. The time for Instagram posts is over. Brothers and sisters, we need to demand action. We need to demand action. We need to come together and unify like my fingers are doing right now, and create one strong wall. And brothers and sisters, kings and queens, we need to constantly be moving that wall forward until we get what we want. Because clearly the Kit Kats are getting what we want. Brothers and sisters, the time for action is now. The revolution is here. If you enjoyed this video, let me just humbly ask, not demand, that if you found nourishment from this video, if it nourished your soul in some type of way, shape, or form, that you just, once again, I'm asking that you please like, share, comment, subscribe. And until next time, my kings and queens, my brothers and sisters, stay blessed.
Ashe. Yep. Oh yeah, that's just one. I mean, like, goddamn, dude, it's who. We're here on the opposing side of that, because if you know, there's the gay manifesto. Me and I read it on Frontline Black News, where it's been going on for like 35 years of maliciousness that has been a plan to pretty much have the gay agenda pushed through. And at one point, all things would be on that tip. You know, straight men would eventually be that. Men would start being defeminized, etc., etc., etc. Get into that in a second. So we're going to listen to another clip with the opposing side of this argument. And this is the opposement of about the gay agenda, the homosexual manifesto, gay manifesto. And we got some
You can be waving a gay flag and not be gay at all. You can be extra and not be gay. There's a lot of extra folks that are straight. Hello, look at Congress.
I didn't even come out technically. Literally one day I was sitting on the couch. It was probably when I was 16. My mom looks at me and says, "So when are you bringing a boy home?"
My older brother, he outed me at Thanksgiving dinner because I was texting a boy I liked, and then he was like, "Wait, who's this boy in the background of your phone?" My dad cut me off for about 5 years. It's a very, very difficult and dark point in my life. I was like, "Mom, I have something to tell you." And she was like, "What is it? What is it?" I was like, "I'm gay." And she was like, Well, what does that mean, Major? What do you think it means? Means I like boys. My mother is, she's lesbian and she has a partner. My mother didn't come out to my family until after I did, actually. You come out, but in the day, like, they're your family.
If there is a Black gay agenda, I need to be CC'd on that email because I didn't get notification of it.
It is utterly and completely ridiculous. I think that if people knew how foolish they looked when they said that, they would stop because it really makes me laugh.
Why would I come up with a fucking agenda? I think I want to like ruin all Black families right now. I think I want to make my parents upset. I think I want to do all these things and like that'll be what I do with my life.
I don't think that Black gay men are trying to destroy the Black family.
There's this fear that gay guys are going to come and basically fuck your husband behind your back. Well, newsflash, honey, if I'm fucking your husband behind your back, he was already gay. You had that issue to begin with from the get-go.
The gay agenda is that gay people can walk down the street and hold hands and not get harassed, and things can just be normal and we can coexist peacefully.
Dating as a gay man.
When I tell you, I have kissed a lot of frogs.
When gay men post thirst traps, it's like one-stop shopping. I mean, you get a boner, you get biblical, because sometimes they quote scriptures, you know, you get edified, you get educated, you get all that stuff. And I think it's great. I don't ever want them to stop.
There's somebody out there nasty enough for everybody, so like I don't even think like top or bottom is like something I even like think about anymore. I just think of like, nigga, is you with it or not?
I think across the board, dating in major cities is hard. No matter if you're gay, straight, bi, or however you identify. I think it's very challenging. If I really come to you and say, hey, how was your day? And then you send me a dick pic, I'm just gonna be like, sis, that's not what I wanted. Thank you for that, but no thank you.
I feel like monogamy is sort of a bullshit heteronormative standard that we don't really have to follow.
I'm probably the biggest advocate for monogamy. I want to get married in a church in Paris. I want to get married forever. I want to get married, like renew our vows every other year, that kind of stuff. Very Jackie Christie.
For me, it's all about you choose to form an actual partnership with somebody for the long term. And so with that, that can mean several things. At least for myself, it's all about who I'm with.
Tragedy of all this shit. Like for real, like this is the most tragic fucking
being gay is not who I am, it's a part of who I am. I think that in the Black community, oftentimes we look at homosexuality as a man being less than a man. And I think there's a lot of stigmas that kind of surround that.
Friend, no male is 100% masculine. If you were, I am so sorry if you ever thought you needed to be that. And then the only thing that is decimating anything about the Black gay male is, oh, I don't know, systemic inequality. You know, we're kind of being hunted by the police.
People need to just realize that people are people and they can do whatever they want. You can be waving a gay flag and not be gay at all. You can be extra and not be gay. Hello, look at Congress.
A lot of people sort of pigeonhole us with this idea that we're always going to be like snappy and yes, queenie, which some of us are, and that's totally fine. But this idea that because we're gay, we are only feminine. And to them, I have to say, one, what is feminine? What is masculine? You know, so for me, I sort of play with my gender performance on any given day. If I feel like wearing a heel, I'm going to wear a heel. If I feel like wearing Jordans or Timbs, I'm going to wear Jordans or Timbs. Gender and sexuality are two different things.
I know it's kind of cliche and corny based on some of the ads and things that we've seen where they say it gets better, but on some real shit, like no cap, it does get better.
I don't know. I'm about to say I rebuke that whole statement. Right there. Yeah, I gotta rebuke that statement. I'm gonna rebuke that whole situation right there. That shit was out of hand. Out of hand. Okay, out of hand. But yeah, no, they don't. So that, you know, it's this like an acceptable fucking thing, you know. But in my mind, I'm like, nah, you know what I mean? No. All right, let's go right here. Okay, so I want to see if this might play it out for something right here. Okay, hold on a second. Let's see. I just want to check this out right here and see, because it's about affirmative action. And 1960, it'll be really quick. We're going to explore this together. It's in black and white. If your Lord knows, you know me well. Now I love me some black and white television. Or, stuff. So, here we go.
In the past few years, I have seen all too many blacks fall into the trap of calling any white person who disagrees with them a racist. Now that may sound like a criticism of today's race politics, but it was actually written 50 years ago by civil rights leader Bayard Rustin.
Mr. Bayard Rustin.
Bayard was Martin Luther King's collaborator and the chief organizer of the 1963 March on Washington.
And the right to vote. What do you say?
Years before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus, Bayard was arrested and beaten by police for doing the same thing. One of 24 times he'd be arrested throughout his life. In fact, he was arrested right here at the World's Fair in New York City while demonstrating peacefully for equality. If you've been paying attention, you may have seen Bayard popping up a bit this Black History Month.
Bayard Rustin was one of the most important figures.
I think that Bayard Rustin is one of the people who's kind of almost criminally under-recognized.
It's heartening to see Bayard entering the public consciousness.
A civil rights hero was almost erased from history all because of homophobia.
But these portrayals mostly focus on his identity.
He is black, gay, socialist, pacifist, right? Like, he's actually America's worst nightmare.
He was openly gay, he was a socialist, he was an organizer. That's great, but what's missing are his actual ideas. And why is that? Well, his intersectional credentials fit the spirit of modern activism, but his ideas, not so much.
The problem can never be stated in terms of black and white.
The point of Black History Month is to give a fuller account of history, unflinching and honest. If we cherry-pick our heroes and then cherry-pick even smaller parts of their legacy to match our pre-existing beliefs, we are merely paying lip service to that mission.
If a bigot says to me, the sun is shining. If the sun is shining, I say, yes, the sun is shining. Because I want to tell the truth.
I'm a writer and race commentator, and Bayard Rustin holds a special place in my heart. I've lost count of the times I've had a seemingly original thought about race relations, only to realize that Bayard beat me to the punch half a century ago. He opposed affirmative action. He opposed reparations for slavery. And he even opposed the concept of African American studies as a unique discipline. Take the recent blackface scandals. In 1951, Bayard argued against banning blackface minstrel shows. He believed that the very existence of minority groups depends on the freedom of expression and civil liberty. Imagine that in 2019. Bayard saw trouble in the new direction of black activism in the 1960s. He worried that the movement was prioritizing divisive displays of righteous anger over the inclusive coalition building that had led to successful civil rights reforms. Today, I see the same divisiveness on display in the tendency to take issues that affect Americans of all colors, whether police violence, criminal justice policy, or education reform, and frame them in exclusively racial terms. Bayard's commitment to humanity over racial politics ensured that he would be attacked from all sides.
Sir, I'm a Tom, and I'm prepared to be a Tom when I can save women and children from being shot down in the street, and if you're not, you're nothing but a fool.
Bayard was a lifelong socialist, a friend of the labor movement. Most people associate socialism with the liberal left, and therefore progressive racial politics. But Bayard had true socialist convictions.
No economic or social order has ever been developed on the basis of color. It must be developed on the basis of class.
Which led him to oppose affirmative action and reparations, instead advocating a federal jobs guarantee, a higher minimum wage, and universal health care. Bayard criticized another trend that's on the rise today. He called it white liberal syndrome. This syndrome causes white liberals to expect less from blacks out of a desire to signal their awareness of racism. A recent study from the Yale School of Management found that white liberals use simpler words when communicating with a person they assume is black rather than white. Conservatives, on the other hand, show no racial bias. Another symptom of white liberal syndrome? The belief that white people have no authority to talk about race issues. Bayard saw this attitude as another way in which whites exploited blacks. Not for money or for power in this case, but for moral absolution. Or as he put it, Negroes have been used and exploited in many ways by white Americans, but it is only recently that they have been asked to satisfy the masochistic craving of disenchanted liberals for flagellation and rejection. A full account of Bayard Rustin means valorizing him not only as a black man or a gay man, but also as an intellectual. Reducing Bayard to an intersectional prop is a symptom of a much larger problem. Our failure as a nation to converge around a set of values that don't depend on our own particular identities. Bayard said it best. My activism did not spring from my being gay, or for that matter, from my being black. Rather, it is rooted fundamentally in my Quaker upbringing and the values that were instilled in me by my grandparents who reared me. Those values are based on the concept of a single human family and the belief that all members of that family are equal. Adhering to those values has meant making a stand against injustice to the best of my ability whenever and wherever it occurs.
There are two types.
No, that was interesting. Let's see, stop right here. Jesus Christ. All right. Now we're gonna get into what has happened in the last couple of days. This is from 6 days ago, and this is pretty much going in accordance to what we're talking about now. I need to block this user right there. Okay, there you go. We're trying to share screen and go share. B and C. Not a fan, but this is where we're gonna get the news from right here.
Declared bans on same-sex marriage unconstitutional in 2015, LGBTQ couples were denied the financial advantages that come with being married. Chief among those were survivor benefits. If your spouse dies, you can apply to receive Social Security checks under certain circumstances. Because the benefits were only available if the marriage lasted at least 9 months, couples in which a partner died shortly after the Supreme Court ruling or who were barred from marriage altogether could not access that money. But in the wake of 2 federal lawsuits on the issue, the Biden administration is now going to pay thousands of dollars a month to surviving partners of same-sex couples who were discriminated against. An average of $1,500 per month is going to surviving spouses, as well as those who can prove that they would have been married before 2015. If you previously applied for the benefits and were denied, the Social Security Administration will also retroactively pay a lump sum for the years the agency missed. The Social Security Administration has contacted 700 people who were previously turned away to let them know that they are now eligible. It's a historic move to rectify some of the injustices done to LGBTQ Americans, but it also begs the question, why aren't reparations just like this available for African Americans? How much longer can the enduring legacy of enslavement and discrimination go without redress when we know there is money available? Joining me now to discuss, David Johns, Executive Director of the National Black Justice Coalition. So, David, this is a delicate conversation because this is not, oppression Olympics, as people often say. We're not trying to pit one group against another. Everybody who was done wrong by American policies needs to be repaired.
That's not true.
For the wrong that was done to them. But the problem becomes Black people sit and they watch other people get those reparations. But when it comes to Black people and reparations, it just feels like they keep saying, we need to study it. We need to pass a bill. We need to go through this. Where's the money going to come from? How are we going to pay it? All of the fences go up when it comes to Black people. How do you see what's happening here?
Financially responsible.
I see it through the lens of our ancestors who offer the tools of intersectionality to help us see both this problem and solutions in multicolors. So what's important for me to acknowledge is when we think about and applaud the work of the Biden-Harris administration and providing resources to families that were denied it based on legal understandings of marriage, is that there are right now Black LGBTQI.
Hold on a second. Let me go back for a second. This fucking dude just said
in multicolors. So what's important for me to acknowledge is when we think about and applaud the work of the Biden-Harris administration and
applaud the Biden-Harris administration. Like the opening song said, fuck Biden too. And no, I'm not gonna fucking applaud their fucking consistent neglect, okay? Their consistent ignorance, their fucking belligerent denial of this shit. No, I'm not. And just because they pass out a few tokens of symbolism does not make it fucking okay. It doesn't make it okay. And they continuously say that this is that bullshit. And no, I'm not in agreement with this dude. I'm not gonna fucking apply the Biden administration. Fucking sucker if we start clapping for them and think, no, and no. And I've been saying that, man, y'all motherfuckers gotta sit your ass down and hold your own motherfucking nuts. This fucking, you know it's wrong, and karma's a big motherfucker, and it'll come for you when it comes for you. This is not okay. This is fucking not okay.
providing resources to families that were denied it based on legal understandings of marriage, is that there are right now Black LGBTQIA+ couples who existed in same-sex or same gender-loving or queer relationships who are not yet considered eligible for those benefits based on interpretation of existing policy and knowledge around how it is that we think about and celebrate relationships. And so I say this to complicate even how it is that we start this debate, because there isn't two separate binaristic groups where there are Black people on one side and LGBTQ people on the other side. There are folks like myself who exist in the intersections in between both. And so what I want to offer is that we should be able to do both, and we should be able to celebrate existing efforts to provide necessary reparations for individuals who are deserving of them with regards to marriage. And we should have more meaningful conversations about how to extend those same provisions and acknowledgement of historical wrongs to Black folks who were the descendants of enslaved Africans who continue to be impacted by transatlantic enslavement in this country in particular.
What are we going to get out of these sessions?
I think we're learning about...
Don't say ourselves.
This broadcast gonna have so many motherfucking commercials.
I want to drill down on that. You've been saying you're at the intersection, because I am also at the intersection of this. And I want to just ask you kind of a more personal question about how you navigate those two worlds, because I often find that when you try to advocate for Black power, Black enlightenment, Black, liberation, that there is a lot of homophobia in that sphere. Like the first thing that they say, not you, don't you speak for us, or, all the negative connotations around that. And I also feel sometimes that they don't make the connection that you just made.
I think it's because some people just put their fucking sexuality before their skin or before their race. You know what I mean? That's pretty much why that happens. I think that if you're like, oh, I'm a gay Black man, that means you put gayness before you being Black. If you said a Black gay man, that means you put Black first before your gayness, essentially, on how you behave, I think. In my opinion, that's how I have taken it. And we're B1, Black first, so everything else is secondary. It's, you know what I mean? Fluff and stuff, so filler.
You can have one foot in one world, one foot in another world, and neither of those two can you divest yourself of. Like there's no way to say, oh, this.
I hate that word. That word is ugly. Divest.
One is the higher priority for me. They're both parts of me. How do you negotiate that, and how do you talk about?
I had no idea this cat was gay till right now, so I was just like, whoa, revelating, like a room revelation. It was riveting. That's what I meant to say. Riveting.
That. To people who you're advocating for both these groups, because both of them are parts of you.
Yeah, I appreciate the question, and I'm smiling, acknowledging that the short answer is carefully. In this moment, I'm drawing upon data that I've collected from young people who have shared with me their experiences navigating public schools, which are social institutions in this country who are responsible for maintaining social disorder. And many of them talk about not engaging in conversations that don't allow for an acknowledgement of and really a celebration of our intersectional identities. So much of what frustrates me about conversations connected to reparations, specifically in critical race theory more generally, is that there are really attempts from those who hide hate and bigotry behind religious objections and feigned attempts to support democracy, but they're really attempts to divide us and separate us and to otherwise avoid naming truths as what they are and talking about things so that we can heal and repair and move on from them collectively and together. And so I say this because Patricia Hill Collins, a Black feminist who has talked about intersectionality, which is a principle we learned from Native and Indigenous people, allows us to understand that most of us have intersectional identities. The vast majority of people in America, as well as throughout the world, have intersectional identities. And it's important for us to not only name them theoretically, but to talk about them in practice. And so as we talk about reparations, for me as a Black, same gender-loving man, it is always important to acknowledge that there is work to be done to ensure that we have access to racial equity, and there's work to be done to ensure that we address the harms associated with LGBTQIA+ bias. What I love and celebrate is that there's been a lot of work done by Black folks over the years, and I say this acknowledging that we're having this conversation in Black History Month. The vast majority of Black people that I have access to understand the lesson of Fannie Lou Hamer, which is that none of us are free unless and until all of us are free. And they understand that applying an intersectional lens to policy and advocacy and action is critically important in that regard. There is still a minority who believes the lie that white supremacy tells, that homosexuality is a sin that people choose. And when I think about that and reparations, I go back to the Bible, which reminds me that when we do the work to show up for the least of these, those of us who do good while also trying to do well are able to be free. And so my hope is that we still do the tough work of fighting through the stigma so all of us can be happy, healthy, and whole.
On the LGBTQ square tip.
Thank you for that sermon, Pastor Jones. You preached that. Now, just quickly, I have about a minute left here. I want to just get to the politics of this. You know, how does the Biden administration negotiate this? It does look, just on the surface, you can do it. The administration itself can take steps to provide reparations that does not require a legislation, and they're doing it here. How do they deal with the Black people who are going to say to them, inevitably, you can do it? Why not also extend this to Black people?
They very much should, and they can do so by, again, acknowledging that in existing actions, there are ways to lead with an equity lens and prioritize those of us with intersectional identities, and they can do more. They can look to the example of HR 100, which is offered by Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and establish a commission to study and make recommendations around reparations and really the Truth and Reconciliation, which would offer symbolic recompense more than monetary recompense. They can also look at HR.
Because you say to offer symbolic recompense, more symbolic shit. Is he serious? Like, is he really fucking serious? I think he is. I think I'll rewind that track back just a second.
They can look to the example of HR 100, which is offered by Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and establish a commission to study and make recommendations around reparations and really the Truth and Reconciliation, which would.
What happened to the first one? The HR 40, man.
Offer symbolic recompense more than monetary recompense.
Symbolic recompense more than monetary recompense. Think about that, family. Think about that. Think about what that means. If you're not getting upset, I don't know what will make you upset.
You can also look at HR 40, offered by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, which takes it a step further and marries those symbolic actions with more meaningful monetary actions. All of this to say that there are examples, both domestically, that have been offered by members of the Congressional Black Caucus, and globally, whether we look to our neighbors in the North who have done this, acknowledging the harms that have been done by Indigenous people who were stolen and placed in schools to rob them of their cultures, are throughout the world. There are examples that we can follow, and we should do more for Black people specifically.
David Jones, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
That's probably the only positive thing I said was like the last 4 or 5 words. That was crazy right there. What? More symbolic shit? No. One more. Let's see what this dude. Oh no. I will try one more real quick. Just see. I just find it to be utterly upsetting, and I think everybody should be upset. Personally, I feel like the more I listen to it, the more disturbed I feel by it. I feel like Biden doesn't give a fuck about anybody. He don't care who he hurts. So that's how I feel. I feel like that's how I feel. Yeah, I'm not taking it back.
Are you ready to lose weight and feel better than you've ever felt in your life? I, the Minister of Wellness, am offering an
Hello, everyone. It's me, Demetra K of the Demetra K Show here on YouTube, and a proud contributor of the African Diaspora News Channel and the African Diaspora News Insider. If you could please do me a favor and subscribe to all channels and like this video, I would greatly appreciate it. So just recently, it's been discovered that Black people, Black Democrats in South Carolina are having mixed reviews about the Biden administration so far. As you guys know, earlier on in his campaign, he was struggling, right? And then he went to South Carolina where Jim Clyburn sat him up there and he lied to Black people. In fact, he said this to them: "Too often, your loyalty, your commitment, your support for the party has been taken for granted. I give you my word as a Biden that I never, ever, ever will." That's what he said to him. And shortly after that, he did end up winning the presidency due to the support of Black people in South Carolina. Okay, so here we are, moving fast forward a year or so after he was elected to be the president. It is said through an Associated Press NORC Center for Politics or something like that, they did a poll and it says that now 6 out of 10 Black Americans are satisfied with the Biden administration. And that went down from 9 out of 10 Americans 6 months after his presidency and say, yeah, we're pretty satisfied with the job that he is doing now. Specifically, a couple of people in South Carolina had the following to say about his presidency. So Rashad Fraser Gaines, he's a co-founder of Amplified Action, a nonprofit that focuses on political engagement of Black men. He said this. Now, he actually ended up voting for Bernie Sanders. He says, Black people are the reason Joe Biden is president, and I don't feel that there has been one time that he's ever shown us a thank you by a way of policy. He also goes on to say, yes, his administration has given a lot of talented Black people opportunities to serve in different positions. All of that is cute, but that's not doing anything to put food on the tables of Black families across the country. Okay, moving right along. Margaret Sumter, a 64-year-old rural community advocate from Hopkins, blamed the stagnation of voting rights on congressional gridlock, not an inaction from Biden, who said that he was discovering that it was easier to be a senator. That was the rest of that. All right, and so this person, George Hart, says, I'm perplexed. At some points, I'm angry. I'm trying to see if there's anything redeeming. He says, also, I'm just so disillusioned. I don't know what to say. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that because there was a whole bunch of other comments of people in South Carolina who's like, well, I think he's doing all right. And then a lot of people like he's not doing all right. He's basically lied to us. And so, dear Mr. Hart, this last comment I read, why are you disillusioned? I mean, I get it. You're 73, so you are from the civil rights generation where y'all thought progress was moving next to white people and yada, yada, yada. But as you're seeing now in modern day, that didn't really work out so well. And Joe Biden was a liar then and he's a liar now, right? So I don't understand where the disillusion is. Just admit it. You've been had, you've been hoodwinked, you've been bamboozled, all right? Yeah. Joe Biden said what he needed to say, and he used that old civil rights Negro, Jim Clyburn, to do it, okay? It should not take him a year to prove to black people, as he said, you stood by me, I'm going to stand by you. It should not take him a year to prove to black people that he is actually on our side by passing some legislation. I mean, wow. What happened to the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act that would get rid of qualified immunity, among a whole host of other things to protect black people? What about those things? What about reparations, which we know he said he wasn't going to do, but damn, he's giving reparations to everybody else. And, you know, the HBCU situation, it's like a lot of things that he just really dropped the ball with black people. A lot of black people could benefit from student loan forgiveness. And he's like, did I say that? So again, where is the disillusion? I'm confused as to why there's mixed reviews. Like, I get it. There's a lot of old black people, and no shade to older black people, none of that. Please don't mistake me in that. I get it. Y'all want to hold on to the Democrats are the party of the people. They love black people so much, but they don't. What is it going to take for y'all to get rid of this disillusion that the Democrats are not black people's friends and that you've been lied to? Like, what is it going to take? Y'all tell me. So anyway, y'all, for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetra K Show, here on YouTube.
Look, I am not.
Hello, everyone.
It's feeling that way, you know what I mean? It's utter crap. Now I'm bringing you to this one last thing, this article right here. Excuse me, family. I'm bringing you to this article. Actually, no, I'm gonna back this up real quick. Nah, I don't know. I don't know if we should go over that. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe we'll just browse it real quick. Like I said, nope, I don't think so. The Gay Manifesto has been out there. It's been out there for like 34 fucking years, and plus, there's a whole fucking agenda. I'll probably go over that when I have more time. I don't know if I really want to do that right this second. But I do want to read this last article, and you know, I could just think about that for a second, ponder on that. Jesus Christ, nothing but Russian bots in my shit. All right, let's see. Sharing is caring. Let's see. This time. All right, this comes from Time Magazine. The U.S. can't move forward on LGBTQ rights without reparations. Okay. All right. It is generally hard to know when a social revolution has achieved its goals. In the case of the American gay rights revolution, however, it appears that this is the easy one to call, at least as far as the national media is concerned. The view that gay rights have decisively won has become conventional wisdom. Victory, Triumphant Gay Revolution is one of the best known journalistic accounts of the struggle for gay rights in the U.S. That this book's premise is pointedly echoed by a 2019 article in The Atlantic titled "The Struggle for Gay Rights is Over." But after gay rights revolution seemed unfinished and complete in the absence of a national reckoning with the country's shameful history of systemic discrimination and violence towards the LGBTQ community, the absence of the reckoning makes the U.S. an outlier among Western democracies with a history of repression and homosexuality. In recent years, the idea of gay reparations, broadly understood as policies intended to make amends for the legacies of systemic gay discrimination and violence, has become something of a global phenomenon. In 2017, the British Parliament enacted turning a law legislation that conveyed an apology and a posthumous pardon to those convicted of gross indecency. Criminal charge immediately associated in British history with the persecution of gay men since the Victorian era. It honors Alan Turing, the famous computer scientist credited with breaking German military codes during World War II in 1952. Turing was convicted of gross indecency after confessing to a homosexual relationship after another man and forced to undergo chemical castration. Excuse me. Okay. Britain's example had been emulated by Ireland, Canada, and New Zealand. Germany has offered financial compensation to those who face persecution under paragraph 175. Wow. The infamous portion of the German penal code that criminalized same-sex attractions to same-sex attraction dating to 1871. It also built a national monument to the victims of the so-called gay Holocaust. The unknown number of gay males who perished in Nazi concentration camps. As part of a policy of moral rehabilitation, Spain has pledged to wipe clean the criminal records of some 5,000 gays and lesbians imprisoned under the homophobic laws of the Franco regime. See, black people? Look what they've done so far. Given the variety of gay reparations available, which one should the U.S. embrace? For the Mattachine Society of Washington, D.C., the most prominent American organization demanding gay reparations, the United States should emulate the British example. In particular, the Mattachines, whose name references pre-Stonewall gay rights organization that fought for acceptance of homosexuality within the legal and medical establishments, want an acknowledgement and an apology from U.S. Congress for the Lavender Scare, the witch hunt of homosexuals triggered by President Dwight Eisenhower, 1953 executive order banning perverts from working in the federal government. Jesus Christ. That order occasioned the firing of thousands of federal agents on the suspicion of being homosexual, and forced many to undergo lobotomies and insulin-induced comas and gay conversion therapy, and the aim of changing their sexual orientation at federal institutes such as Washington, D.C. St. Elizabeth Hospital. An acknowledgement and apology. The Mattachines contend will be a giant step towards realizing full citizenship for gay people. Full citizenship, family. For gay people, a type of ethical citizenship that is only concerned with the rights and responsibilities, but also with repairing indignity and degradation. I'm gonna stop right there. Pause right there for a second. Just ponder on all that shit, and then isn't that what tangibles is? And the contract with Black America and reparations and blah blah blah, and thing we're talking about with the new black media, pretty much. All the way back to the killing fields of the South. Just saying, just asking, just asking. Let's see. It's hard to disagree with the Mattachines demand for an apology not only for the lavender scare, but also for the many other indignities and degradations that the American gay community has endured at the hands of the government, such as Don't Ask, Don't Tell, that notorious 1993 policy forcing gays and lesbians to keep their homosexuality a secret if they wish to remain in the military. By the time it was lifted in 2011, some 13,000 servicemen and women have been dismissed from their jobs for the unwillingness to comply with that policy. As suggested by the Western Europeans' experience, an apology to the LGBTQ community is often a getaway for other reparations, including, family, including a rehabilitation and compensation. Moreover, an apology would be grounded in historical precedent, an important point since it would lend legitimacy to the apology. Past apologies in American history include acknowledgement and apology for the mistreatment of Native Hawaiians. 1953, the acknowledgement of regret for the Chinese exclusion laws. 2012, the apology given to the Japanese Americans at internment camps during World War II, 1988, and the apologies for the institution of slavery and Jim Crow laws issued by the House of Representatives, 2008, and the Senate, 2009. Finally, and the most popular and least controversial form of gay reparations, an apology is unlikely to trigger a backlash from the traditional foes of the LGBTQ community. The Christian right has met every gay rights breakthrough in American history with a vigorous pushback. After the 1969 Stonewall riots, the touchstone and contemporary gay rights movements, moral crusaders like Phyllis Schlafly, Anita Bryant, and Jerry Falwell declare war on homosexuality. Lawrence versus Texas, 2003 Supreme Court decision that struck down all remaining sodomy laws across the U.S., launched a wave of state constitutional amendments banning gay marriage and an unsuccessful attempt to ban gay marriage in the U.S. Constitution. Orangeville versus Hodge. The Supreme Court decision that legalized gay marriage triggered a claim that marriage equality would undermine the civil rights of Christians. This claim in turn gave rise to the Religious Freedom Restoration laws, intended to address Christian victimization. Oh my God. Let's ponder that, family. Christian victimization. Are they fucking serious? Okay. These laws allows for discrimination against LGBTQ people as long as this discrimination is rooted in sincerely held religious beliefs. All of this said, gay reparation in the U.S. should not begin and end with an apology. An apology is an act of remorse to be supplemented with a truth commission tasked with chronicling the systemic discrimination that the LGBTQ community has endured over the course of American history. Does that mean they want to explain every single act of treachery that this group has suffered? Now, isn't that the same thing about pretty much what we're asking to? Curious. Let me see. Truth commissions are non-judicial bodies trusted with the task of investigating a particular event of history, usually one involving human rights abuses premised on the view that shedding light on the truth critical to overcome trauma, to say nothing of avoiding history repeating itself. Some cases, a truth commission is means to an end, as was the case of the Truth Commission that investigated Argentina's infamous Dirty War. The commission final report, Nunca Más, Never Again, opened the way for the successful persecution of the top brass of the Argentine military on human rights charges. But in this case, as in the South Africans, Truth and Reconciliation provided an unvarnished chronicle of the truth. usually from the victim's perspective, is an end in itself. Brazil and Canada provide contrasting examples of how Truth Commission can be employed to make amends to the gay community. In 2011, the Brazilian Congress created a Truth Commission to examine the human rights abuses committed by the military regime in place between 1964 and 1985 due to the existence of activists. The commission became the first one in the world to incorporate LGBTQ repression. Excuse me, family. Excuse me. President in 2014, President Dilma Rousseff, himself a victim of military regime. The final report found that although there was no formalized and coherent state policy to exterminate homosexuality or homosexuals, state ideology of national security clearly contained a homophobic perspective that represented homosexuality harmful, dangerous, and contrary to the family. That was what everybody's conditioned to think it was meant for. The view legitimized direct violence against gay people, violations of their rights and of their way of living and life and socializing. Canada's gay reparation policy were set into motion grossly indecent. The Just Society wrote, an accounting of the repression of sexual minorities in Canadian history, released in 2017 by the Eagle Human Rights Trust, Canada's leading LGBTQ organization. At the heart of the report was so-called Gay Purge, a policy of government-sanctioned discrimination that lasted until the 1990s and that caused thousands to lose their government jobs and face persecution because of their sexual orientation, the gender identity. The report demanded that the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, apologize to the LGBTQ community and make reparations to the victims of anti-gay discrimination. In 2017, Trudeau expressed shame and sorrow and deep regret for the things we have done, that I stand here today and say that we were wrong. We apologize. I'm sorry. We are sorry. The apology came with a payout of $85 million to the victims of those purged from the government because of their homosexuality. According to the Canadian media reports, the payout represents the largest financial commitment by any national government for past wrongs committed against sexual minorities. Despite the seemingly controversial nature of an apology, American LGBTQ community and Truth Commission to document a systemic anti-gay discrimination and violence, no one should expect smooth sailings for either proposal. Reparations are inherently difficult, stemming from the perception as exclusionary and divisive. Those making the case for reparations invariably uphold themselves as a historically repressed minority deserving of reparations. Inevitably, this victimization invites others to wonder whether they too are deserving of reparations. In the case of the United States, discussions about gay reparations are made more difficult by addressing the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. None of this, however, should deter American gay activists from demanding some form of reparations. Indeed, it behooves American LGBTQ rights organizations like Human Rights Campaign and others to capitalize upon the moment of national reckoning with racial injustice to remind the public of the painful legacy of anti-gay laws, policies, and practice, and how this legacy intersects with other forms of oppression in the American history. LGBTQ people of color are more likely to be victims of discrimination of police violence than the wider LGBTQ population. The impressive gay rights advances of recent decades, especially the legalization of same-sex marriage in 2015, are an extension of anti-LGBTQ discrimination protections of the 1964 Civil Rights Act in 2020. All victories won at the Supreme Court are something to celebrate and take pride in, but those victories cannot remove the stain that is the history of anti-gay discrimination and the violence has left on the American democracy. The removal of this stain can only come from a reckoning from this history. Good Lord. So basically, what I'm interpreting, a little eyeball. Oh, hi, Aya. It's good to see you. I was reading it and see you come in. Good to see you. Little eyeballs watching me. Hi. Yeah, that was good. That was a good show. Shout out to Aya for coming in to visit. Let's see. Yeah, he was dropping some hard beats. That was for sure. Back to what I was saying about this gay reparations thing. Like, basically, what I'm to assume is that they jumped in on this reparations act that, foundational Black Americans are trying to get. You know what I mean? Like, meaning well, since they're doing it, we might as well shine some extra shit, so we can be included. This isn't an all-inclusive fucking thing, man. So they separated, right? They have their own agenda going on. Obviously, Biden's going to go ahead and give them that, as you heard from the BNC. You know what I mean? They're going to go ahead and give them reparations for the woulda, shoulda, coulda, fucking get married, and they died before he got, our mates died before, and now that it's legal, and everybody else in their mother's getting reparations. Why not us too? Type shit. And so I personally think it's really wrong. I really think that, I've been saying it for over a year, both here in Frontline Black News, that sit the fuck down, hold your own nuts. Our time to shine. You know what I mean? And it's unfair. It really is unfair that this is like taking the precedent, taking over everything that has to do with foundational Black Americans. Here, getting what is rightfully owed. You know what I mean? And when TBA, TBA, shout out to the Black Authority, Jason Black, read this on one of his programs last week. I think it was last week. That's last week. Man, I just was more mad than I am now. You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I had to look into it. And then I discussed it a little bit today. I discussed it after that. I discussed it on Frontline Black News, where I co-host at. And then from there, I went and discussed it today again on Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. Tap into that later on Blog Talk. I was going in on that, and now I'm talking about it here. It seems like a real big issue. Thoroughly upset about it because I feel like y'all that mad you can't sit it down, can't sit it the fuck down. For like the whole time I've been alive, man, that's all I hear about is homosexuality and blah 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 blah, and it's always overshadowing the actual main event, which is what Black people here in America are not getting, what they deserve, what they're owed. And no, you don't get to step up and fucking play ball now. Sit it the fuck down. You know what I mean? You've had everything. Yes, you went through some shit. Great, cool, we got that part. Period. You know, but just call your shit a Holocaust. Crazy words. Crazy words. Like, crazy. Canada gave him 100 or 85. What did he say? 85. I think it's 85,000 or 85 million. I'm sorry. Let me look at that. I think it was 85 million. But nothing really. Yeah, apology and a payout of 85 million. Huh. From Canada. Okay, USA. Canada is obviously equipped to do that, but they didn't do that for Black people. What else? There was so much going on in that article. So much, man. I was just like, damn. It's just horrible. Time magazine, they announced this the other day. I was just like, damn, he's going through it. I guess he already, just, they caught like what, 700 people. You know what I mean? Let them know already. They gave one person already 90,000 with a payment of 1,800. That shit is ridiculous. You know what I mean? That shit is ridiculous. Absolutely. You know, and I'm just wondering why nobody's upset. I really am. I'm just wondering why no one is upset, or why there isn't more outrage, or why, you know, why there isn't more outrage. You know what I mean? Even with the people around me, I'm like, y'all gonna get upset? Nobody's gonna say nothing. Nobody's gonna be upset. Like, this is just another spit in your face. Like, another fucking sign of then the government not giving a fuck about you, your feelings, your thoughts, your opinions, and your struggles, or your descendants' struggles, or whatever, you know, whatever. Just fuck it. Like, they don't care. Why isn't anyone else more upset? Why is there not more outrage? Why isn't there more outrage? Let's see. I just want to know. I was just like, I feel like that's crazy shit. I want to talk about one more thing, and then it just comes from Professor Black Truth. Probably one of my favorite things to cover again. Professor Black Truth has a Moment of Truth series, and hold on a second. Hold on. It's a Moment of Truth series. I live in a bad neighborhood. It's fucking so loud outside. All right. I want to cover it because it's talking about the Cherokee Indians. Yeah, let me show these. Let me show this. These little comments. Hey. Yeah, we was watching Timberland live. That shit was crazy. Yeah, it was horrible. He's funny though. Timberland is pretty fucking funny. So, and yeah, correct. There, I had to dip, man. I had to get ready for my program, but and eat supper and whatnot. But I was like, I had to eat supper. I did blog talk with on Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced with my co-host from Frontline Black News and um, Brother Isaiah, and obviously Shabaka and Corey. And so we were talking about this particular subject of gay reparations and the diabolical fucking disruption to the nuclear family. So yeah, and do it for self, amongst other things. So yeah, we had an hour and a half dialogue where she was just absolutely disturbing. So yeah, I did. I have to check that out later again. He was funny when he was trash. He was throwing beats in the trash religiously. Yeah, I straight dipped out. I didn't go and watch a divestment channel though. Just couldn't get down with that. I probably got mad and wanted to throw my computer across the room or something if they said some crazy shit, you know. Oh yeah, no, I didn't watch that. But shout out to you, fella. Thank you for tuning in. It's really good to see somebody else up in here. Let's see. Okay, where am I gonna go? Professor Black Truth. Disclaimers scrolling across the screen, and I'll play this last one real quick. I keep saying that, but really mean it. So here we go. It's MOT, Moment of Truth, number 77. Cherokee wants to atone for racism with a museum. And let me read this part real quick. This is from Professor Black Truth. The Cherokee Nation owned black people as slaves, fought for Confederacy, then 130 years later singled out black people to be ethnically cleansed from the tribe, and now they claim to want to atone for the more than a century of anti-black racism by asking freedmen to contribute memorabilia to their museum. If you're not already subscribed, like and subscribe, and definitely share it. It upsets the powers of white supremacy to the max, and it definitely helps spread the message. This is part of the new black media that I and Brother Che and Kruma follow religiously, live, breathe it actively on the helmet of white supremacy. No white supremacy passes will be given in front of us, especially me. I think I'm the worst, because I can't just sit. I have problems sitting passively, quietly, with the letting fuckery happen in front of me. I just cannot. I will not. Don't let the shade just discredit the fucking message. I mean that. I do not like this motherfucking the system that we live in. I do not like the fact that they monitor everything. I do not like the fact that we're begging. I do not like the fact that this system has created a lot of ugliness amongst ourselves. I do not like the fact that can't unify on any level, even within our own friends and family. It's just a disgusting fucking revolving systemic fucking programming of us, and that some of us just can't let it go. I might have to pause my computer, y'all, because somebody might get their fucking hands cut off. Sorry, hold on a second. Somebody messing around my window. I'm gonna go ahead and start this program right now, though. Let's go ahead and share this. And let's see, moment of truth. Hey, people don't want this shit, because like, it's the area I live in, so it's just the consequence you pay. You know what I mean? Here we go. Go ahead and
Media is trying to make a little bit of hay out.
There you go. Professor Black Truth.
Story that can best be filed under "We have no allies." The white media is trying to make a little bit of hay out of the idea that the Cherokee Nation is seeking black descendants linked to slavery as it tries to atone. Man, talk about a few words that are doing some really heavy lifting there. The first problem with that statement, of course, is the whole slavery thing. While the Red Indians did have black people as slaves and fought to preserve the enslavement of black people, it's also true that there were a lot of black folks who were in those areas who were residents, who had never been slaves of anyone, certainly not the Red Indians. And even they admitted that, by the way. But putting aside the minimalization of black people in the history of the so-called Cherokee Nation, what is exactly that they're doing to atone? Well, obviously, they're going to be making sure that there's cash payments, right? Because that's exactly what the whole Cherokee Nation membership in their tribe is supposed to be about, material benefits. So that's what they're talking about, right? Because they've been definitely depriving black folks there of their benefits for the longest time. No, nothing about that. No tangibles at all. Instead, what the tribal officials are talking about, and tell me if this sounds familiar, they're talking about they want to seek stories, photographs, and memorabilia from families in Oklahoma and California as part of the project to develop a deeper meaning of the freedmen experience. The goal is to eventually house an exhibit at the Cherokee National History Museum. That's their idea of atonement. Sounds just like what all these good white liberals always do, what the white media always does whenever it comes time to talk about punishing the thugs in blue. Oh, well, let's not talk about punishment. Instead, let's talk about taking them to the African American History Museum. They need some cultural sensitivity. So all of these tribes that have been practicing anti-black racism for the longest time, they don't need to be making cash payments to any black folks. Instead, what they need is some cultural sensitivity. You guys can make a couple of donations to an exhibit at the Cherokee National History Museum. Well, it just goes to show they haven't changed. Let me give you a little bit of backstory about the Cherokee Nation, though this also applies to those other Native American groups as well. First of all, these guys were not merely involved in the slave trade, they were neck deep in it. They did everything from slave owning to selling our ancestors and working as slave catchers. I'm sure that you probably heard about the Trail of Tears. We all heard about the Trail of Tears. The Native Americans were forced on this long, arduous journey as the ruthless United States government relocated them. And why? They had not done any harm to anyone at all. Why? The only thing they wanted to live was at peace with the land, because as the white media keeps telling us, the Native Americans want harmony with nature and in their environment. They're all about balance and harmony. Well, apparently nobody told the Cherokee Nation chiefs about that or their membership, because you had Cherokee slaveholders, including the chief of the Cherokee Nation himself, John Ross, who was also involved in the slave trade. See, that part gets left out when they talk about the Trail of Tears. That you had a number of Cherokee members, including the chief of the tribe, who was engaged in owning black people as slaves. They don't talk about that. And what they also don't talk about is that there were numerous African Americans who were on that Trail of Tears journey as well. They leave the black folks out when they tell the story. And it was not just numerous African American slaves. There were a large number of the group who were free themselves, by the way. But the thing is, they left the black folks out. They leave out the part about the slave owning. They leave out the part about, oh, there were black people who were out there with us. They leave all of that out. No, this is not the white media who did it. This happened to be the Cherokee themselves. And although I do occasionally, if not frequently, talk about the difference between the white Indians and the red ones, for the most part, I draw no distinction between them because they both draw from the same well and they were both operating out of the same playbook. Not because I said so, but because they said so. Now, if you studied anything about the 19th century, particularly the Old West and Manifest Destiny, you've certainly come across the phrase, the 5 so-called civilized tribes. Now, what that meant was these guys were the MVPs of collaborating with the European invaders, and they did everything that they could to be honorary members of the oppressor class. As Smithsonian Magazine's website puts it, the 5 civilized tribes were deeply committed to slavery, established their own racialized black codes, immediately reestablished slavery when they arrived in Indian Territory, rebuilt their nations with slave labor, crushed slave rebellions, and enthusiastically sided with the Confederacy in the Civil War. And this is who were called the civilized tribes, because there's nothing more civilized than slavery. These are the same people who want President Jackson removed from the money because he was so brutal towards them. I don't see why they're angry. He did the exact same thing that they were doing. Rebuilt their nations with slave labor. Yeah, the same way the U.S. government was doing that with black folks, the Cherokee Nation doing the same thing, and they weren't alone. Those others were in it with them. And they sided with the Confederacy in the Civil War. You don't have a moral leg to stand on talking about being mistreated when you side with Evil Incorporated. For all of those non-white groups who keep trying to claim, oh, we don't have anything to do with slavery, reparations, that has nothing to do with us. Why? We didn't have, nah, especially when it comes to these Native American groups, they were neck deep in the slave trades. When we talk about reparations, yeah, that includes them too. And you'll have a lot of them online who'll get angry whenever you point out, hey, Claude Anderson was also one of the people who emphasized that the Native Americans were neck deep in the slave trade. Oh, why are you saying those things? Oh, that's terrible. Well, the reason people are saying it is because it's true. That's the historical record. Nobody made it up. This wasn't something that somebody invented. This is simply what happened. The real question is, why is it that you got people who are determined to try to hide it, to suppress it, to try to make sure that this is erased? But even after the Civil War, the anti-black racism for the Cherokee Nation did not subside. In 1866, the Cherokee Nation signed an agreement with the U.S. government promising that they would abolish slavery in their own domains. Now imagine that. Here these guys are talking about they want to be free from white oppression. Meanwhile, they're going, well, we want to be free. We want to make sure that black folks are not. The same red Indians who were complaining about oppression under the white man gladly, gleefully, enthusiastically allied themselves with the Confederacy to hold black people in bondage. So they didn't give up slavery because they discovered religion. Apparently, nothing in Native American culture drove them to the idea that slavery was wrong. They only did it because the U.S. government compelled them to. And the 1866 treaty further declared that the freedmen, the black people who they had enslaved, were citizens of the tribe, as well as all free colored persons who were in the country at the start of the Civil War. Now, this treaty that the Cherokee Nation had helped to write and agreed to, by the way, it declared that the freedmen were residents of the Cherokee Nation and that they had all the rights of tribal membership, such as running for office, etc., etc. But of course, the Red Indians never accepted the Cherokee, and that's why I consider the Black Cherokee, and even they agree with it later on, by the way. They never accepted the Cherokee in their midst. And it wasn't just because of the white $5 Indians either. This is an anti-black attitude that they had had all along. The Native American tribes practiced much of the same anti-black racial barriers and exclusion and even violence that black people faced outside of the reservations. You call yourself saying that there were black people who happen to be members of this or that tribe, or you have some black person represented as a member of these tribes, they would be the first ones to say, oh, this is wrong, this is exclusionary, how can you put this in there, this is revisionist, this is crazy. That's what they would be doing. They'd be the first ones doing that. Fast forward to 1992, the Cherokee Nation Council passed an act declaring that only those who were, quote, Cherokee by blood were members of the tribe, and that this blood could only be certified based on the, wait for it, the Dawes rolls. That's right. The same Dawes rolls that the white people paid $5 to get themselves artificially listed on was now being used by the Cherokee Nation as the litmus test for who was Cherokee by blood. You can't make this stuff up. And that's when the Cherokee Nation Council really began going in on the Cherokee, the black ones, after that, openly practicing their anti-black racism and hostility, formally declaring that black Cherokee didn't have the right to run for office or anything else in their domains. Yeah, they went from surly to openly hostile real fast. Notice how they don't talk about this part. This led to a series of lawsuits, but the racists in the Cherokee Nation didn't back down. They doubled down, especially when the subject of federal money came up. They were so bold, so egregious, just so absolutely over the top with their anti-black vitriol. They wanted to make sure that everybody knew we can't stand these niggers around here. They videotaped themselves voting black people out of their tribes, expelling all black people. They were racially cleansing their little tribes. They wanted to make sure people saw them do it. They were videoing themselves doing this mess. Here they are racially purging black people. They're practicing open ethnic cleansing. And apparently, as far as they're concerned, let everybody see it. They're trying to declare exactly where they stand, where the subject of black people are concerned. Now, they didn't have any problems with all of them white $5 Indians running around or anybody else. But black people, it's too much. Now, this is very important to note because for about the last 25 or so years, at least, you've had a lot of black people in this country who have been putting on the cape for Red Indians, especially when it comes to sports teams. You've had black actors, black comedians, black commentators, all decrying how disrespectful it is to have a sports team called the Redskins, or this or that team with the tomahawk chop or whatever. And while these Negroes who are desperately trying to prove to their white liberal buddies how progressive they are, while these Negroes were taking offense at how Red Indians felt about a sports team's name or a logo or a particular gesture that crowds do at a sporting event, these same high-minded Negroes totally missed how those exact same Red Indians were banding together and systematically expelling black people out of their own tribal nations. Oh yeah, racism against Red Indians is bad, but when they practice it against black people, well, is it really wrong? And worse than that, you didn't have any of these Native Americans in any part of the society calling this stuff out. Do you think of any Native Americans, be they actors, politicians, writers, or whomever, who pointed out, wait a minute here, what about all this racially purging black people from the tribes and such? Isn't that wrong? Nah, they didn't seem to recognize the perverted irony there either. 2011, a U.S. District Court finally ruled that the freedmen are members of the Cherokee and have all the rights that tribal citizens have, including the right to run for office, vote in elections, receive benefits, including access to tribal health care and housing. Now keep in mind, the Cherokee Nation went to court to try to stop that. It was a U.S. court that made them do it, that made it clear this is what it's got to be. So you see that whole 1866 thing wasn't some fluke. And the Cherokee Nation wasn't through fighting at that point. They were still going back to court going, well, we don't care what this white man's court says. We have declared that we are ethnically cleansing all these niggers, and that's all there is to it. Finally, in 2018, a U.S. District Court finally said, look, this is the end of it. These freedmen, they're part of the tribe. You're stuck with them whether you like it or not, and that's the end of it. Besides, you signed an agreement saying so. You got to honor your word. Or is your word worth nothing? That was 2018, folks, just 4 years ago. By the way, that's the same year that the white leader of the so-called Cherokee Nation, this guy who was called Principal Chief Bill John Baker, a far cry from Sitting Bull or Running Wolf, don't you think? But old Tribal Chief Baker, he was declaring that we're going to recognize MLK Day as a holiday here. Now think about that. These Native Americans, this Cherokee group, they didn't even recognize Dr. King Day as a holiday until just 4 years ago. I want you to think about that. That's how anti-Black and racist these guys are. As far as they're concerned, we don't care about Dr. King. He's Black. That has nothing to do with us. And this Baker clown, he tries to sprinkle sugar on crap by saying Dr. King fought for the rights of all people of color. And meanwhile, you had the Cherokee Nation fighting against the rights of Black people. How ironic, how cynical, how perverted to say that. These racists tried everything they could to be part of the dominant society, and when that didn't pan out for them, they turned on the only people who had ever helped them and who had never done them wrong. And finally, February 22nd, 2021, that was less than a year ago, 10 years after a U.S. court first declared that the freedmen are in fact Cherokee, as the Red Indians had agreed to, the Cherokee Supreme Court finally declared that the by blood reference should be removed from the Cherokee Nation Constitution. Talk about pulling up the rear. The so-called Attorney General of the so-called Cherokee Nation said that the freedmen should now simply be called Cherokee citizens. Now, I'm sure that in her mind, such as it is, that's supposed to be some great compliment, but it's not. After the way that these anti-Black racists disgrace themselves, they can't claim to be products of another age. They can't claim that, oh, well, we didn't know any better. No, they knew better. They knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, when you decide you're going to vote against a holiday for Dr. King, you're pretty much declaring that you are not a product of a bygone era. You're just a dyed-in-the-wool anti-Black racist. Full stop. The same people who were happy that Black Cherokee were being expelled, they're still around today. And at no point does anyone talk about money when it comes to the freedmen. They never do that. Instead, it's the same old empty talk about inclusion and recognition and acceptance. This is not some redemption for them. It just goes to show that the 1866 treaty was not a fluke. These guys were going to hold anti-Black racism in a death's grip, and were it not for the U.S. government, this meaningless ruling from an illegitimate gang of bigots would never have happened. The U.S. government decides what these guys get, so their opinion doesn't really matter, though it is instructive as to what their attitude towards Black people is. Well, as far as I'm concerned, they can save the empty gestures for the white media's cameras. We only deal in substance here, and their actions have spoken far louder than their words. This is why these alliances are dead on arrival, family. You got these other groups who have had dozens, if not hundreds of years to ally themselves with us, and they never have. The problem isn't that they don't know. It's not that we haven't made a persuasive enough argument or we haven't used the right words. The problem is they're not buying what you're selling. They're holding out for a comfortable place under white supremacy, and they are fully willing to fight to enforce it. The same way that you see these dyed-in-the-wool racists like racist Tom DeSantis in Florida and Greg Abbott in Florida, they're trying to purge the historical record and erase the racism against Black people. You got groups like the Cherokee Nation who just decide, well, we're not going to chronicle any of that stuff altogether. We're just going to leave that out. We're way ahead of the white supremacists on this one, or so they think. So I know that there's some Black folks out there, especially Black women, who whenever you mention about their ancestry, they'll always make sure to say, well, I've got some Native American, this, that, and a third. But you might want to ask yourself if those people who you're attempting to try to link yourself to, would they ever link themselves with you? A heck of a lot of those Red Indians, more than are willing to admit it, have Black ancestry, and they know it. But what they also know is that the dominant society may not be aware of it, and they're holding out a candle for their idea that they're going to have a place under white supremacy. If they're able to finagle or finesse it, that's the schedule that they've got. That's the agenda that they're pursuing. If somebody gives you their word, and this person decides they're going to write it down and say, I give my word on this, this is who I am. And when that person immediately turns around and breaks their word, and spends the next 150 years making it very clear we're going to do everything that we can to break our word and to slap the people in the face who helped us, that's not some misunderstanding. That is the reality. This is what the Cherokee Nation leadership and a dang majority of its membership have done to Black people. And it wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't an oversight. It was deliberate. And I am not so naive as to pretend as if somehow this attitude has magically evaporated just because it's 2022. There's no way that giving a couple of artifacts and memorabilia to any museum is going to atone for that. The only thing that would atone for it is to make sure that you put money in these people's pockets. There's been real damage done to these Black people by the Cherokee Nation and these other Native American groups. Real damages require real restitution. And that restitution isn't a handshake and a we accept you and, oh, we're going to drop the whole Freedmen thing. See how progressive minded we are. Why, we don't even say Freedmen. We just say Cherokee. You can keep the phony honorifics. If you're serious about atoning, then what you need to do is you need to step up with the money that's owed. That's what's called for here. To do anything less than that would make someone, and you'll pardon the expression, an Indian giver. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors.
Yeah, that shit was pretty good right there. Shout out to Professor Black Truth for enlightening us. Want to go ahead and say thank you for tapping into the revolutionary agenda. Hope you learned much. I'm going to go ahead and get off because I actually have stuff to do early in the morning. And yeah, so it's kind of what I want to do. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me. I'll probably have another episode sometime this week. Definitely trying to have one on Blog Talk. Chipaka's Black Experience sometime this week. I'll have to get with him and Brother Shane Kruma and see if they'll let me do it. I feel like some important things need to be talked about. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me on the Revolutionary Agenda, the RVA. I'm your host, Seduction Doll. Stay black, stay dangerous, get mad, because this is really happening. And we need to start, I don't even know what we need to start doing. I know what I'm going to do, so I know I'm going to try my hardest to get this shit cracking for us, somehow in my state anyway. So I'm in Colorado right now, and I feel like the people here are just asleep and they need to wake the fuck up, like immediately, right now. And if there's nothing tangible, obviously there isn't. They're giving away reparations to everybody, but you should just hold your vote. My opinion, they're gonna feel it somehow. Anyway, stay black, stay dangerous, stay favored. I'm gonna go ahead and end out with this. That's how I feel. Yeah. So, I feel like there just needs to be a third verse right there. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Till next episode. Thanks.